This is me, Keith Richards. But here I am. I'm still playing, and I'm still rocking and still rolling. I hope you enjoy it. One love. Thanks and praises to you all.
The Rolling Stones, known as the Kings of Rock. When we talk about legendary riffs, the Rolling Stones inevitably come to mind.
There's the air you breathe, the water you drink, the food you eat, and then there's Rolling Stones.
Today's dive into the Rolling Stones' top 20 best riffs and the tales behind them. Let's get started. Ventilator Blues. The beautiful, predatory open G slide riff throughout Ventilator Blues eloquently captures the decadence of its surroundings. Named for the lack of air conditioning in the wet basement at Villa Nelcote, Exile on Main Street took birth.
When your spine is cracking and
Mick Taylor created the riff, earning him the band's only composition co-credit, but Richards performed it. We got some weird sound of something that had gone wrong. Some valve or tube that had gone, he recalled of its guttural tone. The odd staccato rhythm imparted to Charlie Watts by Bobby Keys, Hopkins' sinuous piano, menacing horns, and a fine Bluesbreakers-esque outro solo from the on-fire Mick Taylor completely utilized the expansive strut. Did you know? The Stones used to play this in practice all the time, but they could never recreate its beautiful seediness live. It's a great track, but we never play it as well as the original, Charlie Watts explained in 2013. Something will not be quite right. Either Keith will play it a bit differently, or I'll do it wrong.
Tell me, Sister Morphine.
The song is Sister Morphine, 1971. Rolling out a sinister and haunting guitar riff, Sister Morphine from the Rolling Stones' classic album Sticky Fingers stands as one of the band's most chilling and atmospheric creations. Co-written by Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Marianne Faithfull, it's a cinematic exploration of addiction, embodying the more somber side of the Stones' repertoire.
Oh, I don't think I could wait that long.
The song's creation story is as dramatic as the song itself. Marianne Faithfull, Mick Jagger's then-girlfriend, was originally given songwriting credits and recorded the first version of Sister Morphine in 1969. However, due to the song's controversial subject matter and potential copyright conflicts, it wasn't released until 1971's
Please, Sister Morphine.
on a Rolling Stones album, Sticky Fingers. Ry Cooder's haunting guitar revealing itself in the right speaker at the opening of the second verse is a spine-tingling, timeless rock and roll moment, and one of the Stones' many bottleneck classics. It's a warm-up for Cooder's lesson in gorgeously emotive slide playing, with the guitarist coaxing a mix of lead and rhythm lines and highlighting his distinct vibrato. Did you know? Between 1968 and 1969, Cooder worked as a session guitarist on numerous Stones songs, played slide on the Jagger-starring 1970 film Performance, and was said to be in the running to replace Brian Jones. Sister Morphine remains a testament to the Rolling Stones' musical versatility, fearlessness, and their knack for social commentary.
Why does the doctor have no faith?
The riff may not be as instantly recognizable as some of their others, but its storytelling power is unmatched, leaving a lasting impression on every listener. Let It Bleed. The Stones are at their most disheveled on the title tune from their 1969 masterwork. Keith Richards is said to have performed the acoustic portion until his fingers bled, but it's Keith's open C-tuned slide guitar that steals the show. With the beautiful piano of six-stone Ian Stewart, Wyman's ambient zither, and Watts's characterful drumming. It may lack the technical refinement of the soon-to-join Mick Taylor or Ry Cooder, but it's hard to beat as an example of washing out pure emotion. Did you know? The Let It Bleed album was originally going to be called Automatic Changer. The working title inspired Robert Brownjohn's sculpture on the album cover. Start Me Up Tattoo U's final UK Top 10 single was this 1981 single. Start Me Up originated in 1975 as a reggae tune called Never Stop.
There we go.
It was tried and abandoned during the recordings for the 1978 album Some Girls, and it was forgotten about until 1981, when a stronger rock and roll version was uncovered. In 6 hours, the band casually pulled together the final version. The classic primary 4 figure is played in open G on a Telecaster over a Mesa boogie amp and has become one of Keith's most popular riffs. However, producer Chris Kimsey says, "I'm not sure whether he likes it to this day." Did you know that? Microsoft spent millions of dollars to utilize Start Me Up in the company's debut television commercial, which was part of the Windows 95 advertising campaign. The last time the first Jagger Richards penned A-side was inspired by the Staple Sisters' 1955 gospel ballad This May Be the Last Time, and the Andrew Oldham orchestra version served as the foundation for the Verve's Bitter Sweet Symphony.
Well, I told you once and I told you twice.
The cycling guitar riff on the original recording, courtesy of Brian Jones and his Vox Teardrop, is a finger-nodding work of genius in and of itself, cleverly spelling out the chords of the song with open D and A strings, together with Keith's lead-in chords alternating guitar solo. The Last Time established the Stones as musical innovators from the start. Did you know? The Last Time was the Stones' first self-penned UK #1 in 1965. Richards recalled of the song, "It gave us a level of confidence, a pathway of how to do it."
Let's go, baby, let's go.
Brown Sugar. The lead single from 1971's Sticky Fingers boasts one of the most instantly recognizable opening riffs in guitar history, and while the song was theoretically all Jagger's, it's one of Richards' best hours musically. Richards played a black SG, while Mick Taylor played a Strat, both through their Fender twins. In a 3-night session presided over by guitarist and studio co-founder Jimmy Johnson in December 1970, which also yielded You Gotta Move and Wild Horses. Overdubs were added later in London. Did you know that? An alternate take featuring Eric Clapton on slide guitar, recorded during Keith Richards' birthday party at Olympic Studios in 1970, was added in the album's 2015 deluxe edition. Wild Horses, as well as Jim Dickinson's bedrock piano, the Stones' timeless country-tinged ballad is a story of three masterfully interwoven guitar parts. There's Richards's 12-string tuned to open G, not something you could do on stage in a hurry, picking out minor chords and harmonic embellishments. Mick Taylor's second acoustic, in Nashville tuning, with the lower gauge E, A, D, and G strings tuned an octave higher, holding the song structure down. Did you know? During a transfer at Olympic Studios, a bent spool caused the master tape of Wild Horses to become wrapped around a capstan motor. The creases were pressed out with a cold iron. Ironically, the real zipper found on the packaging of Sticky Fingers would often dent that specific track on the vinyl anyway. Sympathy for the Devil. French New Wave director Jean-Luc Godard captured footage of the Stones putting the song together for jarringly incoherent muso-political film 1+1.
Nice to meet you. Hope you guessed my name.
And while Keith Richards memorably reviewed the documentary as a big intellectual wank, the footage provides precious insight into the band dynamics of the Stones, as well as their determined musicality, as they patiently transform Jagger's composition from folky beginnings to demonic samba.
Nice to meet y'all. Hope you guessed my name. But what's puzzling you is the nature of my game. Yeah, didn't I hang around St. Petersburg? Not so. It was time for a change.
But you could instead just listen to the isolated guitar track of Richards's barbed solo played on his Black Beauty Les Paul Custom. It shines a fresh light on one of the most memorable six-string lightning strikes ever committed to tape. Did you know? Goddard's film crew's lamps set the studio on fire during the sessions for the song.
With a suitcase in my hand,
Love in Vain. This inventive reimagining of Robert Johnson's 1937 recording dresses it in the borrowed clothes of country, adds a southern drawl, extra chords, and even mandolin, but still manages to convey the authenticity of the Stones' connection to Delta blues styles. Keith's reworked arrangement enables the listener to pick out every intricacy of his acoustic guitar. Ry Cooder's frantically picked mandolin. Brian Jones was by this point unavailable.
whoa, it's hard to tell, it's hard to tell.
And the soaring slide chords that conjure up the song's melancholy, otherworldly atmosphere.
When the train, it left the station.
Did you know? The songwriting credit for Love in Vain is attributed to Woody Payne, which was one of Robert Johnson's pseudonyms. Sway. Guitar-wise, Sticky Fingers' Sway is all about Mick Taylor. Keith Richards only added backing vocals, along with Pete Townsend, Ronnie Lane, and others, but took the usual 50% songwriting credit. Sway was the first song recorded at Mick Jagger's Stargrove's Mansion studio, with Mick Taylor's amp in the fireplace and the mic in the chimney. The guitarist's ever-tasteful Les Paul blues chops are given free rein, and his fluid solos blend different techniques: slide, fast triplets, trills, bends, blurring the major and minor pentatonic with unerring precision and thoughtful structuring. In the absence of Keith, Sway demonstrates why Taylor was the perfect virtuoso foil for the earthier talents of Richards during his 6-year tenure in the band. Did you know? Mick Jagger plays the rhythm guitar track on this song. The song is Monkey Man, 1969. An exhilarating ride from start to finish. Monkey Man, from the Rolling Stones' 1969 album Let It Bleed, is a masterpiece of punchy rhythm, swaggering vocals, and of course, the memorable and infectious guitar riff. This riff, crafted by the legendary Keith Richards, is an electrifying mix of rhythm and lead guitar styles that catapults the song into the annals of rock and roll history. The gloomy funk of Monkey Man, written on the Amalfi Coast on the same 1969 vacation as Midnight Rambler and originally named Positano Grande, was immortalized in Scorsese's Goodfellas. It has one of Mick Jagger's most mysterious stream of consciousness lyrics, "I'm a cold Italian pizza. I could use a lemon squeezer," and is constructed over one of the Stones' most underappreciated riffs. Keith Richards plays all the guitars, reaching deep into his arsenal of tricks to create the atmospheric C minor descent of the opening, the triumphant slide solo, and the magnificent main riff, which takes a simple repeated chord figure and transforms it into a furious simian fist of funk, using every hammer-on, pull-off, walking bass note, and dissonant tone at his disposal. The opening piano line, played by Nicky Hopkins, sets an anticipatory tone before the track explodes into its full riff-driven glory. The guitar work is interlaced with a vibraphone, bringing a unique flavor to the sound. Did you know? The vibraphone played by Bill Wyman as well as the bass on the track. But it's the guitar riff, pure Richards, that hooks listeners and drives the song forward, embodying the gritty, raw energy that the Rolling Stones were renowned for. Monkey Man was allegedly a playful jab at the band's own rock and roll lifestyle, a sort of self-deprecating humor embedded within a powerful rock anthem. The Stones were the Monkey Men, wild, unconventional, and pushing the boundaries both musically and socially. From a historical context, Monkey Man is a great example of the Stones' transition from their early bluesy style into harder rock. The song's riff is a musical statement, showcasing the band's evolving sound and Richards' unique approach to guitar playing. While Monkey Man may not have achieved the commercial success or mainstream recognition of some of the Stones' other tracks, it's a testament to their musical prowess and a highlight in their extensive catalog. It's a song that lets the guitar work shine, making it a favorite among fans of the Rolling Stones' raw, high-energy rock and roll. Street Fighting Man, the Stones' first and only explicitly political song, is one of the iconic compositions of the 1960s, and a wonderful illustration of how imaginative the band could get while pursuing the ideas in their minds. In search of a garagey sound, Richards recorded his open D-tuned Gibson Hummingbird acoustic into a Philips tape deck, alongside Charlie Watts playing a tiny practice drum kit. The song's instrumentation is entirely acoustic, with a second acoustic guitar section, piano, a shalani, a tamburi, and a sitar added later. Did you know? Street Fighting Man is one of Keith Richards' favorite Stones songs. It's the kind of record you love to make, and they don't come around that often. Tumbling Dice, hailing from their 1972 album, Exile on Main Street. As with many of the Stones' tracks, the story behind its creation combines both musical experimentation and the lifestyles of the band members during that period. Tumbling Dice originally started as a song called Good Time Women. This early version was a bluesier take and somewhat different lyrically, but it laid the foundation for what would later become Tumbling Dice. The song's lyrics delve into the world of gambling, love, and uncertainty. Mick Jagger, who wrote the lyrics, drew inspiration from the gambling metaphors, particularly dice games. The term tumbling dice can be seen as a reflection of the unpredictability of life, love, and the inherent risks in both. Tumbling Dice wasn't an easy song to record. The band reportedly had some difficulty nailing down a version they were satisfied with. They played it countless times, experimenting with different tempos and arrangements. Keith Richards, the mastermind behind many of the Rolling Stones' memorable riffs, was instrumental in shaping the song. The track has a rollicking, loose feel, emblematic of the entire Exile on Main Street album. The sound of the song was influenced by the environment in which it was recorded. The basement of Nelcote, Richards' villa in the south of France. The setting provided a unique atmosphere that added to the raw and spontaneous vibe of the recording sessions. Tumbling Dice actually started off life during the Sticky Fingers sessions, and its casual insouciance took 4 studios, over 100 takes, 2 drum tracks, and possibly even 2 drummers to nail down. Charlie Watts, the band's drummer, mentioned in interviews how challenging it was for him to get the rhythm right, leading to Keith Richards stepping in to guide the rhythm section. But Keith Richards' opening riff, and the song's infinitely rolling twin guitar refrain in the outro, open G, capo on the 4th fret, you're going to be there for a while, ultimately make it all worth it. Did you know? Jagger also plays guitar on this track, with Mick Taylor playing bass. Today, it's not just celebrated for its catchy riff and lyrical depth, but also as a representation of the Rolling Stones at a particularly tumultuous and creatively fruitful period in their career. Despite the challenges during its recording, Tumbling Dice was chosen as the lead single from Exile on Main Street. The song became a massive hit, solidifying its place in rock history. The Rolling Stones' timeless classic, Honky Tonk Women. Honky Tonk Women is one of the signature tunes of the Rolling Stones, known for its memorable opening riff. The story behind the creation of this iconic riff and the song itself is quite interesting and full of unique elements of rock and roll history. The legend has it that the song was born during the band's trip to Brazil in early 1969. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, the leading creative forces of the Rolling Stones, were on vacation in Matau, Sao Paulo, taking a break from their chaotic life and seeking inspiration for their upcoming work. Keith Richards came up with the catchy, cowbell-infused riff while at the ranch. However, it wasn't honky-tonk bars and women that inspired it. In contrast to the song's lyrics, the surroundings were rural, with wide-open fields, horses, and a serene atmosphere. The setting offered a peaceful environment where creativity could flow undisturbed. The original concept for the song was quite different from what it ended up being. It was first conceived as an acoustic country song titled Country Honk.
time. But I just don't seem to dream you off my mind.
In this version, the lyrics painted a picture of a rural setting, complete with references to an old gold-top guitar and a gin-soaked barroom queen in Memphis.
I'm sitting in a bar, pimpling a jar in Jackson.
However, when the band returned to London and started working in the studio, the song underwent a significant transformation. Inspired by the energy of the city and the vibrant music scene, the band decided to give the song an electric makeover. With the addition of the gritty, amplified guitar riff, the honky-tonk beat, and Jagger's evocative vocals, the song morphed into Honky Tonk Women. The iconic cowbell in the song was a serendipitous addition. During the recording, producer Jimmy Miller jumped in and started playing the cowbell to count in the song, and it sounded so good that the band decided to keep it in the final mix. It ended up being one of the most memorable parts of the song. Did you know? Brian Jones's last sessions with the band were during the early stages of recording this song. Honky Tonk Women was released as a single in July 1969, around the same time as the tragic death of Brian Jones, the band's former member. The song was an instant success, reaching #1 in the UK and the US.
I met a gin-soaked barroom queen in Memphis.
To this day, the cowbell-clanging, guitar-heavy introduction to Honky Tonk Women remains one of the most instantly recognizable riffs in rock music.
I met a gin-soaked barroom queen in Memphis.
A true testament to the Rolling Stones' musical genius and lasting impact on popular music.
It's not one of those.
Midnight Rambler.
I talked about the midnight rambler.
The year was 1969. The Rolling Stones were navigating a significant shift in their band dynamics. Brian Jones had just left, and Mick Jagger and Keith Richards were solidifying their bond as the core of the group. It was during this transformative period that Midnight Rambler was born. Let It Bleed's epic, nearly 7-minute side B introduction, described to Keith Richards as a blues opera, basically, was composed by Jagger and Richards while on vacation in a sun-drenched Amalfi Coast hamlet in 1968, similar to Monkey Man. The guitar sections, entirely played by Richards on a hollow-body Matin EG 240, the title Midnight Rambler, and the song's lyrics were reportedly inspired by the notorious Boston Strangler Albert DeSalvo, a dark theme that the gritty, bluesy riff effectively supports. Richards spent several hours refining this performance, ultimately offering the ideal, sinuous counter to Jagger's mournful harmonica playing in standard tuning with a capo on the 7th fret. The riff, a foot-stomping, blues-infused combination of notes, captures the dark and moody essence of the song. It is probable that Keith Richards devised the riff in his characteristic open tuning style, using a mix of rhythm and lead guitar elements to create a layered, compelling sound. Richards often drew inspiration from the great blues musicians of the past, such as Muddy Waters and Chuck Berry, and Midnight Rambler showcases those influences.
Well, you heard about the Boston.
Did you know? Brian Jones' percussion on this song was one of his final contributions to the Stones, which Richards subsequently characterized as a last flare from the shipwreck. During this period, the band would often compose and rehearse in various locations. One can imagine Richards stumbling upon the riff during a late-night session, matching it with the song's dark, predatory lyrics and theme. The energy of the band, coupled with their raw, youthful enthusiasm, would have molded the song into the powerful track we know today. Despite not being released as a single, Midnight Rambler became one of the Rolling Stones' most iconic live tracks, with the potent riff becoming a staple of their performances. It remains a testament to the Stones' ability to blend rock and blues into a unique and compelling sound.
Yeah, you see, they shut the bedroom door.
So, the next time you listen to Midnight Rambler and find yourself swept up by its irresistible rhythm and energy, remember the context of its creation. It's not just a song, it's a piece of rock and roll history.
Set list. Okay.
Jumpin' Jack Flash is one of the Rolling Stones' most iconic songs, released in 1968. The story behind its signature guitar riff and its genesis is as emblematic as the song itself. The song's title and inspiration came from a real-life event involving Keith Richards, the band's lead guitarist. Keith was in his country house in Sussex, England, together with Mick Jagger, when they were woken up early one morning by a noise. It was the sound of Keith's gardener, named Jack, walking past the window in heavy boots. When Jagger asked what the noise was, Richards replied, "Oh, that's Jack. That's Jumpin' Jack." This comment sparked something in the two of them. They were inspired to write a song around that theme and imagery. The gritty, earthy nature of the sound, of boots on gravel, of hard work in the outdoors, might have influenced the dirty, raw guitar riff that kicks off the song. Recorded using the same technique as for Street Fighting Man, recording acoustic guitars into a cassette deck to distort their sound. This made 1968's single as a shot of pure guitar innovation. But for such a direct and simple-sounding riff, played on a Gibson Hummingbird acoustic tuned to open E and a second acoustic in Nashville tuning, it has many hidden depths and is often misunderstood. Yet if you only learn one Keith Richards lick, make it this.
I was born in a drive-by hurricane.
Jumpin' Jack Flash became a quintessential Stones track, symbolizing their return to their rock and roll roots after their brief foray into psychedelia. The lyrics are somewhat abstract, with its allusions to cross-dressing and its imagery of being born in a crossfire hurricane.
I was born in a drive-by hurricane.
And raised by a toothless, bearded hag.
I was raised by a toothless, bearded hag.
Yet it's the story behind its inception and the driving riff that gives the song its timeless energy. Many consider Jumpin' Jack Flash to be one of the greatest rock and roll songs ever recorded, and the story behind its creation is a testament to how inspiration can come from the most unexpected places.
But it's alright. I'm Jumpin' Jack Flash. Yes, yes, yes.
Did you know? The Stones rearranged the song for live performance, and Richards now plays it in open G with a capo on the 4th fret. After all, in his 2010 autobiography Life, Richards said if he was told he could only play one of his riffs for the rest of his life, this is the one he'd choose. Satisfaction. When people who don't play guitar draw a guitar, they draw a Strat. Idiot! Those contours are all wrong. When people who don't play guitar mimic the sound of one, they hum this riff. That's how iconic Keith Richards' snarling signature. Famously a horn part he wrote and recorded in his sleep.
We were in Clearwater, Florida. Strange thing was, the very same night, Keith wrote the basics of Satisfaction. He says in Clearwater, Florida, you know, at night time he woke up with that, with the idea of satisfaction. Can't get no satisfaction. And when he woke up in the morning and listened to it and all that, him and Mick thought it was a pretty okay song for an album. And then it became this classic fucking track, you know. They're going da 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 da, and I'm going doom doom da diddle dee. So Brian just played the walking rhythm behind him, and it kind of worked.
It's not all about that Maestro FZ1 assisted riff, of course. Aside from Jagger stretching out with his lyrics, props are also due to Bill Wyman's amazing but oft-overlooked offbeat bass line. The simplicity of Brian Jones's acoustic and Keith's verse licks over the propulsive beat and insistent tambourine. Altogether, a sound that expanded the horizons of pop music. Did you know? Jagger and Richards initially doubted the song would be a hit, but an in-band vote persuaded them to release it as a single. Paint It Black. The Stones were beaten to the sitar and guitar combination by the Beatles on Norwegian Wood the year before.
Bass pedals. Yes, Brian.
But the dark psychedelic flavor conjured up by Brian Jones's ominous noodling on this 1966 counterculture anthem has arguably proved just as influential. The song owes a lot of its power to Charlie Watts's kinetic drums, combined with the bolero rhythms strummed on acoustic guitars. Though apparently, Keith was less enamored with his electric on the record. "The electric guitar doesn't sound quite right to me, the one I play," he said in 1966. "I should have used a different guitar, at least a different sound." Did you know? Bill Wyman played the B3 organ pedals on the track by laying on the ground and punching them with his fists. Gimme Shelter has a theatrical backstory and rock and roll mythology to rival even Sympathy for the Devil in the Stones' rich catalog. Newsweek called it ecstatic, ironic, all-powerful, an erotic exorcism for a doomed decade. Gimme Shelter is one of the Rolling Stones' most iconic and enduring songs, both for its haunting melody and its poignant lyrics, and its famous opening riff. The late 1960s was a turbulent time marked by the Vietnam War, political unrest, and a series of shocking and violent events, including the assassinations of Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert Kennedy. It was during this period, specifically in 1969, that the Rolling Stones wrote Gimme Shelter. The song's apocalyptic tone and its lyrics about war, rape, and murder are a reflection of the turbulent atmosphere of the times. As Mick Jagger once commented, the song was written as a kind of end-of-the-world tune. It was the Stones' way of expressing their anxieties and fears about the chaotic world around them. Another defining element of Gimme Shelter is the powerful vocal performance by Mary Clayton. Jagger and Richards were searching for a powerful female voice to add to the chorus, and they invited Clayton, a seasoned backup singer, to join them in the studio late at night. Her chilling vocals, particularly her raw, emotional cries of rape, murder, gave the song an added layer of intensity. Her performance was so powerful that you can hear someone, believed to be Charlie Watts, exclaiming in the background of the track after one of her powerful verses. Over the years, Gimme Shelter has been hailed as one of the greatest rock songs ever recorded. Like Sympathy, before it took something special musically to cement its place as one of the greatest songs of all time. And this factor is Keith's immortal guitar intro. The legendary opening riff, which sets the haunting tone for the song, was crafted by Keith Richards. He was inspired to write it during a stormy night in London. Keith had been experimenting with an open tuning on his guitar, and this dark, ominous setting seemed to call forth the melody from him. Richards said the entire song came together in his basement. Did you know? The song was the last hurrah for Keith's 1960s Maiden. It was just at the end of recording, just as we're tailing off on Gimme Shelter, and I feel this sort of rubbery feeling. Everything's going rubbery. And the neck just fell off. I said, well, thank God it's a fade-out, because obviously this song is over. By morning, he had the basic structure and some lyrics sketched out. Mick Jagger later came in to refine and add to the lyrics, creating the version of Gimme Shelter we know today. Gimme Shelter, its sense of foreboding, coupled with its reflection of the societal and political upheaval of the time, has made it timeless. We're rolling back the years to 1971. Can't You Hear Me Knocking is one of the Rolling Stones' iconic tracks, hailing from their 1971 album, Sticky Fingers. The song is recognized for its legendary riff and extended jam, which takes up more than half of the track's 7-minute runtime. Keith Richards, the Rolling Stones' lead guitarist and the song's primary composer, is known for his distinctive and infectious riffs. Richards had a knack for finding unique guitar hooks that would act as a foundation for their songs. Though the song's basic riff arrived in a flash to Keith Richards, he squeezes every nuance out of it during the first half. Richards typically used a method of tuning known as open G tuning, which gives the guitar a unique tonality that helped Richards create many of the Rolling Stones' signature riffs. This tuning was a significant element in the creation of the riff for Can't You Hear Me Knocking. The composition of the song reportedly took place during a jam session. Mick Taylor utilized a Brown Gibson ES-345 for the jam's lengthy outro, cutting a gorgeous improvised solo with a refinement that was obviously absent from the Stones' first extended jam, the 11-minute Going Home on 1966's Aftermath. The Stones were known for their improvisational approach to songwriting at times, and this track is a prime example of that. Did you know? After laying down the basic song structure and recording it, the band members stopped playing.
Like that? Okay, like it.
But the tape kept rolling. Not realizing this, Mick Taylor continued playing an impromptu guitar solo. The rest of the band gradually joined back in for an extended jam. When they listened to the recording later, they decided to keep the impromptu jam, giving the song its unique structure and highlighting the spontaneous creation of music that was characteristic of the Rolling Stones. The story Can't You Hear Me Knocking? A legendary track created in a moment of unplanned musical brilliance. It's a testament to the Rolling Stones' unique and improvisational approach to music. Do you agree with our list? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, and keep on rolling.
Don't get angry with me.
He don't know if it's right or wrong. Maybe he should tell someone. He's not sure just what it was, or if it's against the law.
Something